Hurry into Old Navy today and tomorrow to get jeans for the whole family on sale. Just $15 for adults, $12 for kids. Plus, starting today, redeem your Super Cash to save even more at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. Super Cash valid 6/3 to 6/11. Jeans valid 6/3 to 6/4. Select styles only.
Blog Talk Radio.
TV party tonight! TV party tonight! TV party tonight! TV party tonight! We're gonna have a TV party tonight! Alright! We're gonna have a TV party, alright! Tonight! We got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews. Everybody's gonna hang out here tonight. All right. We'll pass out on the couch. All right. Tonight. We got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
That's right. We've got nothing to do but watch TV and have a couple of brews. This is TV Party Tonight, and I am your host, the Man Data Reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And joining me tonight in this Pirates Week here on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network is my good friend and source material antagonist, Mr. Ronnie Adams. He speaks for the trees, ladies and gentlemen. Ronnie Adams.
I do speak for the trees. How's it going tonight, Mark?
Ronnie? It's going good. All right,
good, man.
Let me tell you what Miraculous is. Miraculous, Tales of
Okay.
Ladybug and Cat Noir, is a French CGI action-adventure animated series produced by Zagtoon and Method Animation. The series features two Parisian teenagers, Marinette Dupain-Chang and Adrien Agreste, who transform into the superheroes Ladybug and Cat Noir, respectively, to protect the city from supervillains. It's set in modern-day Paris. The series focuses on said teenagers. When evil arises, Marinette transforms into her secret superhero persona, Ladybug, while Adrien transforms into his superhero persona, Cat Noir, N-O-I-R, using powerful objects known as the Miraculous. Yes, I listened to this in the background as I was playing Lego Lord of the Rings yesterday. The villains are always after the Miraculouses. I heard that a lot. Oblivious to each other's true identities, the two work together to protect Paris from the mysterious villain Hawkmoth. Hawkmoth. That's M-O-T-H, who covets and attempts to steal their powers by using his Akuma, butterflies infused with black energy to transform everyday citizens into supervillains. Yeah, my daughter especially. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I would leave it to the French to make the supervillain use butterflies.
So there's one season of this. It's 26 episodes. It aired from October of 2015 to October of 2016. And it's on Netflix, and my daughter is in love with the show. She binge-watched the entire thing yesterday and is currently in her room. She might be asleep now, but her and her brother are currently in her room rewatching the entire series.
Now, is this obviously it's in English, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Otherwise, they would be
it
like,
is not in,
what's this crap?
Yeah, they're not going to watch something in French.
Right. Why not? It sounds interesting, but I looked at some of the art on IMDb, and it reminds me of puts me in mind of The Incredibles a little bit,
something like that.
So
Here's what I'll tell you. My wife, I always try to get my kids to watch the things that I want them to watch, and they will somehow, and I always want to turn them on. Like, I turned my son on to Transformers. He likes that. But I'll tell you this. I have successfully made both my kids fans of superheroes. They just happen to find their own superhero things to watch that I don't necessarily have any interest in, such as Miraculous, Tales of Ladybug, and Cat Noir. All right, that's not what we're here to discuss.
Thankfully.
We're going to talk about Black Sails tonight, Season 1. It's 8 episodes. Now, sometimes when we do these TV parties, we go through them episode by episode. We did that with the last TV party we did, which was the Powerpuff Girls. And that was because there weren't a whole lot of unifying themes to the show. It was episodic. It wasn't necessarily an arc of one story where we could sort of talk about it in summation. Black Sails lends itself more to a discussion of the series as a whole without having to go through it episode by episode. And as Ronnie and I discussed offline, the show is very, very dense. I remember doing this sort of thing a couple of years ago with Jeremy Lambert and then again with Robert Winfrey and talking about shows like The Wire. You know, when you get a show that's so dense, full of information in detail, it can become very overwhelming to try to break it down episode by episode. Yeah, and very tedious, right. So we're going to hit it quick, and we're going to talk about the series as a whole. Let me first ask you, Ronnie. Now, I decided I wanted to watch this because I knew that we were going to do an entire week of pirate-themed shows with the release of Pirates of the Caribbean. And it was also something that I was interested in. I knew it was on Starz, and it was just one that I knew it was out there. I just hadn't had a chance to watch it, but I was interested. And this gave me the opportunity to do it. Now, you had seen it in the past. What made you decide to sit down and watch Black Sails? And did you watch it when it debuted, or did you binge watch it once it was released?
Oh, I definitely binge watched it once it was released. It was one of those things where I'm a fan of pirates anyway. I've always kind of picked pirates over the discussion of pirates versus ninjas. I've always kind of sided with the pirates. One of my favorite video games of all time is Assassin's Creed Black or what? Oh my gosh, I completely blanked on the name. The Pirate Assassin's Creed. Yeah, it's one of my favorite games ever, but I can't remember the name. Stupid. But
is it Assassin's Creed Fucked with an Anchor?
No, it's not that at all. That's highly disturbing. That would be Ailstorm. But and believe it or not, before you all did Metal Hammer of Doom, I've heard of Ailstorm. Probably about 10 years ago, or close to 8-10 years ago. Lived in North Carolina for 8 years almost now. So I was introduced by someone that was just listening to random stuff, and it was Dave Gillespie, a friend of mine, and so I've always liked pirates. And when I heard of Black Sails, I wasn't a subscriber to Starz, and I was like, well, I would really like to watch that, but I never got around to it. But I finally got Starz on a deal or whatever DirecTV gave me, and now it's on Hulu as well. And I just sat down and I binge watched the first season. And, I never really got into Game of Thrones. I never really got into a few of the other shows. I was a Breaking Bad fan. Speaking of those interwoven, intricate plots and things like that, it was one of those things where I was like, well, I like pirates. I need a new show. Let's give this a try. And I believe it or not, I was pretty hooked on it when I first started watching it. So that's how I came about.
What did you think of the show, the first season overall? I'm curious to get your just sort of overall view of the show, because I know with me going into it, I really didn't know what to expect. I know my expectations of the show was that it was going to be more high seas adventures. I thought there would be more marauding. Yeah, I thought there would be more ship to ship action. And 90% of the show takes place on Nassau, not in Nassau County,
right,
which is Long Island. They're not hanging outside the Nassau Coliseum.
Right.
but the island Nassau in the Bahamas. So much of the show takes place on this island, and so much of the show has less to do with pirating as such as it does planning the first season at least is really, it's like Ocean's 11, but with pirates. It's one big heist.
Yeah. It almost reminded me of a political drama too. Where everybody's plotting against each other, and everybody wants the power, and they're willing to do anything to get it. It's very much, from what I've seen, it's very much, I hate to say it, but you could almost compare it to Game of Thrones in that way. There's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of plotting, a lot of shadiness and underhandedness going on Nassau. I wasn't expecting to stay in port, for most of the season, but the ship-on-ship action that is there is actually done very well, and that's how we get introduced to a couple of the some of the main characters, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm like you. I expected a lot of flintlock pistols and sword play and swinging from ship to ship on ropes and things like that. But that aside, I was actually it was very well done in what they did. So that's what kind of kept me intrigued, because you never really growing up playing pirates or playing things like thinking about pirate movies and things like that. You never really thought of it as a business, and that's kind of how they treated it. With the contracts and this ship's going out here, so go get what they've got kind of deal. So right. It was enough to keep me interested in that point. So I enjoyed it. I didn't know what to expect like you, but it didn't let me down, but it wasn't what I was hoping or thinking it was going to be.
It's a very different show than what I thought it was going to be. It looks great. Let's talk about the look of the show real quick. It was produced by Michael Bay, and it was produced by Michael Bay, Brad Fuller, Andrew Form, and others. And Michael Bay definitely knows how to give you a good-looking feature.
Absolutely.
Michael Bay knows his action, as we all know from that series of stellar films, those high water marks for cinema, the Transformers series, as we all know.
Oh my goodness!
Somewhere out there, Robert Winfrey just had a stroke.
Shuddering. Yeah.
But no, it looks great. At no point am I really taken out. Now, I'm no expert on what of like historical accuracy when it comes to the 1700s in the Bahamas, or whatever. So I can't. I mean, I'm not looking at any of this going, oh well, they've really nailed the authenticity. But it looks good. Yeah, it looks good. I mean, it had me fooled. I definitely feel like a lot of care was put into making it as accurate as they could, and a lot of time is spent on the show relaying life on a boat or on that island. I'm especially drawn to the episode, and I want to say it's maybe episode 4, where they've got the ship on land, and they're knocking the barnacles off of it, and they're cleaning it up. And John Silver, who we'll talk about him when we talk about characters, and John Silver has to cook a pig, and he fucks it up, and they're like, you need to get another pig.
Yeah. He messes it up royally.
Yeah, he does. There's just a lot of time and care to deal with the details and the intricacies of living that lifestyle, which it really draws you into that world. The first episode, they're dealing with a mutiny. So the whole thing is that Captain Flint, who is the star of this thing, played by Toby Stevens, he's looking for a Spanish galleon, a treasure hoard, and the crew doesn't know that that's what he's looking for. And right now he's just, he's going after ships that don't necessarily have a great haul, booty to rob necessarily, but they're looking for ships that have information as to where the Spanish ship is going to be. And because they think that he is just raiding terrible ships, there's a pirate on there that's looking to overthrow him, and we immediately get set up our conflict. And he's sort of fighting this the entire series. It ebbs and flows. Some moments are worse than others, but by the end, it's almost Shakespearean. Everyone's turning on him. Everyone except John Silver.
Oh, yeah.
What did you, as an arc?
I was going to say, he's the only one that really knows the absolute truth about John Silver. John Silver was a stowaway, but everybody thought he was going to be the new cook. And he doesn't know how to cook anything. That's why he messes up the pig. He undercooks the pig and makes a couple of guys sick. They've got diarrhea and they're whatever and everything else. And as the captain, he comes by and he takes a bite of the food of the pig, and he says, "No, that sounds fine. This tastes fine. I don't know what you're all talking about." So the guys, "Well, okay, Captain, we'll take your word for it," and they walk off. And he spits it out. He says, "That's awful. You've completely messed this up." Then he tells him how to cook a pig, and not so kind words. He tells him he messed it up, and he's like, he gives him exact instructions on how to cook a pig just to save his own hide, because those guys would have found out, his crew would have found out that he's not an actual cook, and they would have probably cooked him. And
right.
So he's, they've got, I don't want to say a bond, but he kind of owes the captain something, because he's not turning him in. He's not turning him over to the crew, because the captain is about on that. He's on the fence too. The crew, he might be turned over to the crew himself. There's a mutiny that's about to happen. So there's a very interesting character dynamic between those two and how they interact with each other.
They were on, I feel like, as I said, the arc of we must prepare for this heist at sea, is really what this whole season is about. What did you think of that as an arc for the first season? Because I felt like at times the series moved very, very slow.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
There were certain episodes where I was like, what is happening? Someone go get on a ship, fire a cannon, do something.
Plunder something. Listen, what is happening right now? There's so much to deal with. There's, the brothel, the way that who's running the show on Nassau, it could get a little boring at times, but the thought of them hunting something greater than just the next haul kept me interested. Was in the whole thing. If it were just yo-ho, a pirate's life for me, we're going to go rob, plunder, and drink rum. That would be good for a movie, like Pirates of the Caribbean. But you need something with a little more depth to keep you interested in a multi-season show. So I think that's okay. I enjoyed it. So it kept me interested. Trying to figure out what was going to happen next and who's going to betray who next, and all the storylines that are going along with it.
Let's talk about some of the characters here. Let's go through them real quick. As I said, we talked a little bit about Captain of the Walrus, Flint, played by Toby Stephens. I think he does a heck of a job. He definitely portrays a character who's trying to keep a lot of balls in the air, and it's just like he has that frustration about him of, would you all just let me do my thing? If you would let me do my thing, we'd all be rich. For fuck's sake, calm down.
Calm down.
He's just always on edge, and things are always just slightly just falling out of his grasp, and he's constantly having to run around and grab things again. What did you think of Toby Stephens' performance as Flint?
I think he does a great job. He pulls off the tortured leader and anti-hero. That's kind of what he strikes me as anyway. You don't want to like him. That's pretty much everybody in the cast, though. You don't want to like him, some of them, but you can't help it. But he's also very mysterious, and he I think he plays it off very well. He comes across as of course he's mysterious. He has to keep secrets from his crew, kind of tortured at times. Just like you said, let me do my thing and we'll be okay. So I think he did a great job, or does a great job.
We have Hannah New as Eleanor Guthrie, who ends up running the island, I think, by the end of this. I thought she was fine. The subplot of her sort of rise to power in her father's stead was fine. I know that they couldn't do the whole thing on water, so there had to be other things going on the island, and she's sort of representative of that political element. The character is okay. I don't have a whole lot to add besides that. I mean, I didn't find her to be particularly charismatic. I just thought she was there.
I have to agree with you on that. She does good for what the character does. I mean, there could be a little more flair, I guess you could add to it, but it's kind of your basic. I hate to say it like this, but my dad ran it, and now I'm the strong woman that's going to take over for him. It is what it is. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Of course, we have that devil may care, the sparkle in his eye, Luke Arnold as Long John Silver, who we meet him in the first episode, and he immediately, is he steals the schedule. He's, without him, you don't really have a series here, or at least you don't have a first season. He's so good.
He really is.
Luke Arnold. Yeah, the guy they got to play John Silver, he's such like a con artist, but he has that like wry grin, like where like you want to root for him, you want to root for him because he has all the charisma on the show. Yeah, he is just oozing charisma, and you want him to succeed even though he's a complete shithead.
He completely is, isn't he? He's a complete douchebag, but you're like, oh, dude, I can't help but just like I said, you can't help but like him. It's so weird, but he, as an actor, he does such a good job in this. I love the character. I love the fact that you think he's a coward, but really he's a little more brave than what you think at times. He does a phenomenal job. Very much an opportunist. That's a much better explanation of the character. Much better than what I was going for.
And, of course, my favorite character in this whole thing, Tits McGee, Jessica Parker Kennedy as Max, who starts out as a prostitute and later works her way up to brothel madam. Tits McGee, Max. She's fun.
Yeah. I'm really surprised you didn't bring up Billy Bones.
I haven't gotten to him yet. I'm literally reading these off the Wikipedia page.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I will shut up now. But go ahead. Continue with your show.
Yes, thank you. Max is a fun character. Everybody has an agenda. Everyone's got an angle. They're all trying to rip each other off and try to get over on one another. And Max, who starts as sort of a lowly prostitute, she has a great arc over the course of the first season where, she's in love with what's her face there, Eleanor, and when things start to go sideways, when things start to go sideways, she wants to leave the island with her, and so Eleanor kind of sells her out, and for a couple episodes, she's getting the shit beat out of her, and she's getting raped and fucked with an anchor, and all kinds of terrible things happen to her. It's my new favorite thing, ladies and gentlemen. And then, but by the end of it, she sort of pulls it together, and she takes over as madam of the brothel, helping good old Jack Rackham. So I mean, she's one of those survivor characters, and Jessica Parker Kennedy plays her very, very well, and she also oozes charisma.
She's one of my favorite characters on the show. It's really disturbing to see. It's cool to see the changes she's going through, but it's also very disturbing stuff at times. With the beatings and everything that the character's going through, but despite all that, she still comes across as a strong in a strong role of even though she's going through this, she's still going to come out on top. So it was really cool to see that transformation, and it's. I don't want to say that at first it seemed like kind of not a self-pity thing, but when she willingly goes into exile and into punishment, I guess you could say, for what she had done, it was kind of like I said, it could be a little disturbing, but it was still it made the storyline move.
Yeah. Now we get to Billy Bones, William Billy Bones Manderley, the first mate of the Walrus, played by Tom Hopper. I have to say, I'm gonna group him with Mark Ryan as Mr. Gates. I was sad when they both died. It really was.
Yes.
I loved Mr. Gates. I thought he was great. I mean, he really held Flint's water there for a while. He was his confidant. He tried so hard to keep things together, and then I guess it's at the end of the series, when the attack on the ship happened, and it was like, this isn't going to work. Don't do this. It's a suicide. Oh, you know what it was? They couldn't find the ship at first, and he was like, that's it, you're done. And instead of like being patient about it, it was like, nope, you're done. We're done here. You need to be replaced as captain. And of course, Flint. At this point, we're into Shakespeare, where everyone's got to fucking die. I was very sad when Gates died, but he was the most calming, father-like figure through the first season, and I was sad to see him go. Billy Bones was also another character who, when he got his, I was like, oh, that sucks, man. You spent so much time with these characters. I mean, that was one of the things about like watching The Wire, is you would get so attached to some of these characters, and then they'd buy it in an episode later, usually very unceremoniously. Fucking 6 episodes or whatever, or 6 seasons of The Wire, and Omar just gets blasted in the head by some kid. Like, wait, what?
Well, I don't understand why you would do that. Just like you said, you get so emotionally wrapped up in these characters, because Billy Bones is one of those guys that you want to see succeed. because I mean he's actually somebody you can like, and then Gates just like he was the glue. He was the glue that kind of held everything together and was keeping the captain going. So to see his dad fall, I guess you could say, very, very, it was one of those moments like, I'm trying to think of a show to compare it to, but I really can't. It sucked.
So then we have one of the more well-known actors in this thing, Zack McGowan, who plays Charles Vane, captain of the Ranger and the Fancy, and, of course, the steward of Fort Nassau, who, for a couple of episodes, he's just doing nothing. He's just, like, getting the scurvy. He's just laying down, being depressed, shooting the opium, smoking the opium, whatever he's doing.
Smoking the opium. I don't think they shot the opium back then, but
he was in this.
Is everybody in this? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to make another Wired joke that he was in a shooting gallery shooting with bubbles. Is everybody in this series just they have to be completely ripped and make me feel bad about my life choices and not going to the gym? Well, I suppose if they were all walking around looking like us two with their shirts off, the show would be gross. So.
Yeah. Very, very good point. Very good point, my friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stars brings you Man Tits at Sea. All right, here we go.
Oh, why is this show so low rated? I don't understand. Well, I just answered it with the title.
Only other fat gay men enjoy this show. We don't understand why. Why it has such a weird target audience. Anyway.
I want to know why you said other, but...
Sorry, I don't know why I said it either. I'm very tired. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you an opportunity here to talk about Charles Vane here because his whole subplot lost me towards the end. And the only thing I know is that he ended up killing a guy, taking his crew, and then they raided the fort. And it was just okay, I'm now a part of your gimmick because I control the fort, and if you don't give me my way, I'm just going to start sinking your ships. And so they gave him his way. But there's a whole there's a whole story in between there where he fights Swamp Thing, and I don't know what's happening. So
he was one of the characters that I kind of just when his stuff came on, I was usually at the fridge getting a water or something. I don't know why I just couldn't get into his character. So I'm sad to say that I can't add any more than that to the discussion on him because while he's very important, I guess, to the story, it was just one of those things where I was like, I just can't get into that character. It just it's not boring, but it just didn't intrigue me as much as the others.
Okay. And we'll just move on to Toby Schmitz as Jack Rackham. He's kind of like John Silver. He's always looking for an angle.
Yeah.
He's looking for a way to survive. He becomes more interesting when he ends up becoming the brothel manager because everything before that is he's just looking for an angle. And I think he's hooked up with Clara Paget, who's Anne Bonny, who is always walking around with that hat on, and she's kind of a fun character too. But she's one of those that she portrays herself as so tough, and I never actually see her do anything that is tough. You know what I mean?
Right. Thank you for saying that because I've never seen her, sink a ship. I've never. Well, that's going a little far. But I've never seen her, in a fight. I've never even seen her backstab somebody. Hardly. It's just she's a lot of bark and no bite.
Yeah, her character got very annoying, especially towards the end of the season, where they focused a lot on her and her machinations and her feeling we got to do something and all this other shit. And it's nah. I don't really buy you as anything. You know?
Yeah, it
was
like one of those things where we should be so afraid of her, but why? Why
Right.
am I afraid of this person? Because she hasn't done anything. Yeah, I agree with you. She went past intimidating into annoying.
Yeah.
So, at first I thought, when I first saw her, I was like, ooh, she's going to be cool. She's going to be one of those characters where, she's going to just whip out two knives and go to town on people, or just be utterly vicious, or chew somebody's face off, or, just surprise you in any way possible. But she just stood there.
Right. Looking all toothy.
She was the Orlando Bloom to Jack Sparrow. He kind of just stands there and whines a lot, and that's what she does. She just stands there and whines a lot. Oh, this isn't going to fly. We need to do something. Then do something. Quit acting like acting tough, and be tough.
Rounding out the cast, we have Hakeem Kai Kazim, who plays Mr. Scott, who, speaking of whiners, he just does a lot of whining. Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
You have the father to Eleanor, Richard Guthrie, played by Sean Cameron Michael, who he's fine. He just plays he plays a character fine. And then lastly, we have Louise Barnes, who plays Miranda Hamilton / Barlow. She's Flint's friend. I actually thought that was his wife. But according to Wikipedia, it's the friend and confidant. And I guess she had him, fill in the details for me here if I've messed something up here, but she had him kill someone for her, and she's sort of been living in exile ever since. And her arc in the story is that she's been living in exile for a while now, and she kind of wants to return to civilization, and Guthrie is giving her the opportunity to do so. But that's all I got out of that. And kind of like you with Vance, it's like every time they went to that, I was like, and I'm going to go get something to drink, or I'm going to nod off.
Yeah. Sandwich, kind of a deal. So, yeah. She started off as I think interesting, but she kind of died off with her character. It was one of those characters that they needed to hurry up and do something with, and they never really did for me.
All right, we're gonna move towards the end of the discussion here, talking about the overall plot here and how things come to a close. So you have a lot of subplots. You have the thing with her. You have the political intrigue and the sort of the retaking of the island by Eleanor, and then of course by Vance. But the big story is the heist. They need they needed cannons. That's a small 2-episode story arc where they had to go after this one ship to get the cannons, which they needed to attack the Spanish ship. They needed a second ship in order to pull this off. And it all leads to the big roaring conclusion where initially they can't find the ship, and that's a problem. Then they do, and at that point, no one cares anymore. And they're just like, it's great that we found the ship, but you still stink, and we still don't want you to be captain. And he's just like, fuck it, we're firing it.
Okay, I think Mark has dropped. So we are. If you've been following along with us, thank you so much for listening to us tonight and our kind of our rundown of the first season of Black Sails. The episodic pirate show from Stars. I think he was talking as he was going on. We were, they had tracked down, their big heist, and then they were like, well, never mind, we don't want you. Okay, Mark is back, so I will shut up now.
Well, no, I wanted to get your opinion on the season finale.
The season finale. I'm not gonna lie. For a second there, I panicked. I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. Where do This is like I've never, done a show before. So
host of the
you might have
host
some
of the
dead air
Screaming Boy podcast, everybody.
I'm scared. Yeah, most of our show's dead air anyway. So, but I guess the season finale does. The one question for me, does it make me want to come back and watch season 2? Yes, it did. I thought it was good for a season finale. It made me. The only thing I could think of, though, really, honestly, it made me want to see how they were going to, how it was going to go from there. But when it showed the walrus had beached itself up on that island, I was like, awesome, we're back to pirates on land again. But
Pirates of Florida.
Exactly. I'm like, I don't understand why they have to be on land so much, but it made me. Despite that, it makes me want to come back and even though I've lost some of the characters that I've grown fond of through that whole thing, it made me want to go back and watch season 2, and I'm ready to restart season 2 myself. So,
I've never read Treasure Island, so I don't know how much of what has to happen, of what happens in the show has to lead into that. But without that knowledge, I wanted them to succeed, and I was very disappointed that they didn't succeed. That that it was a lot of build up. I mean, you watch Ocean's 11, right? And it's a 2-hour movie, but they're successful. They successfully rob the casino and get away with it. Whereas, I guess I have this thing. Like, I just watched I just watched the season finale of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I don't know if you watched the show or not, but they spent a couple of episodes. Gina Gershon plays a dirty cop, and they're trying to bring her down, and she ends up framing them for a bank robbery. Andy Samberg and Stephanie Beatriz. And it's like they go through all these machinations to prove their innocence, and everything fails. And so the season finale ends with them being convicted of first-degree robbery. And it's like, I understand.
Seems a little heavy for Andy Samberg.
Yeah, for a 22-minute fucking sitcom. But it's like, I understand that they're going to get away with it. They're going to get out of it. They're not going to do an entire season of them in prison. I mean, even last season, they did. There was a 3-episode arc where where Andy Samberg and Andrew Brower were in witness protection in Coral Gables, Florida. So it's like I get all that, but still, I guess, and this is just a personal thing. If you're going to build up something over a season, I kind of want to see it be successful. And I guess I felt not ripped off, because they're still telling the story and there's still more story to be told. But I do feel like I do have a case of, I guess, cinematic blue balls. You built up this thing and then you took it away. And then you're like, wait till next season, and maybe they'll get rich. Who knows? Black sales. All right. So that was.
I watched Lost, so I'm kind of used to that. So
Lost. The where you look in the dictionary for cinematic blue balls, is a picture of that logo.
Yeah, just Lost, and everybody goes, "Oh, okay, I get it." But I'm used to, a lot of people, with me especially, I'm used to stuff like Arrow and The Flash, and where it's kind of like some one-off shows. They may tie in together, but there's always a supervillain or something happening in that episode. They've always got that one episode, that one smaller storyline that fits in the rest of them, but it's always an episode. Did you see that episode where Mark Hamill came back, and different things like that? But when you watch shows like Black Sails or Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones, you're going to expect you got to expect some sort of cliffhanger at the end of the season to make you come back and watch it again.
Sure, it's not the cliffhanger aspect that I didn't like. I mean, if anyone that watched The Shield knows how that one ended, that series ended with kind of a cliffhanger where you didn't know whether or not he was going to blow his head off or what he was going to do with that gun. And I was fine with that. I was satisfied with the way The Shield ended. Mackie lost everything. I was satisfied with the way The Wire ended. Baltimore just goes on. McNulty, you don't know what McNulty's going to do next, but he's not a cop anymore. And it was sort of left open as to whether or not he was ever going to get prosecuted for falsifying evidence and really falsifying an entire murder case. So, those are two examples of I'm okay with that kind of an ending. I guess what I'm not necessarily okay with was them failing to rob the ship. I guess that's what I would have preferred to have seen rather than yet another episode where their ship gets blown to smithereens.
And then end up on land.
Right.
What is it with
and
land?
Land. And that's really where we can leave it. I'm anxious to see season 2, which we'll look at in a couple of months. I'll have Ronnie back on here on TV Party tonight, and we'll look at season 2. We'll eventually finish off the entire series once the whole thing comes to Hulu. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to let you have the last word here. Is there anything left unsaid, anything we didn't talk about with the series?
Not that I know of, other than, if you're going to watch it, you can. I recommend it. I mean, it's going to be a little more mature. You can't watch it with your children or with your parents, really, unless you have that weird relationship with them. But it's going to be a little more mature. But I do recommend it. Don't expect too much of the swashbuckling Pirates of the Caribbean kind of action. You're going to be drawn into some character development and story and plot development as well. And some episodes too much plot development, or maybe not enough, because you're sitting there going, "Oh my God, just shoot somebody, run somebody through something." But I do recommend it because I don't think that it gets. I don't think it gets its fair shake on a. Everybody talks about these shows like Game of Thrones and things like that, but this one I think it stacks up nicely with it. Could give it a run for its money.
In terms of period shows like Rome, or a fantasy period, something like like Game of Thrones, which I've actually never watched, but I think it holds up. I'm watching Harlot now on Hulu. I think that's finally over, and I made the mistake of saying I would watch all the episodes with my wife, and we finally got caught up to the same place, and then have not bothered to watch the rest of it. I may have to just say screw it and watch it myself. But I mean, Harlot is another great example of a period show. This is fine. I mean, it's a good show. It's a solid show. I think they pretty much nail the authenticity pretty well. And I'm interested to see what happens next now that the gold and everything else and all the pirates have landed on Florida. I believe this is what leads to the creation of Disney World.
Yes, I mean where do you think Pirates of the Caribbean came from?
That's right.
So, I wasn't going to mention it. Back in the day, I did some history reenactment, and it was in the 1700s. So there was a lot of flintlock rifles and pistols, and it was mostly in the West Virginia area with the Shawnee Native Americans and settlers and things like that. So I met some gentlemen who were really into that period. And some of them actually went a little further back and did some research, and they did some history reenactment with the age of the pirates and things like that. And it's something to see it on TV, but when you watch somebody in full, full gear like that walking around in real life, it's really cool. So it kind of reminded me of that. So, we saw guys walking around in kilts with broadswords and, pistols stuck everywhere and things like that. So the authenticity is what kind of drug me in as well. So I think they do very well with that. I've not, and I'm a big IMDb fan. I've not seen many mistakes pointed out in the period, the time period that it's in. I've not seen many things, saying, oh, yeah, but in 17 or whatever, Nassau was actually this and this. At that point, I'm like, oh, just shut up and enjoy the show. But they seem to have done their research.
Makes me laugh because I'm just now picturing a guy in a speedboat just like going across the bottom of the screen at one point.
At that point, I think I might be drawn out of it, but going, okay, hold up. Something doesn't seem right.
Sean Connery in a speedboat. All right. Little humor there for you.
Sean
All right.
Connery in a Speedo.
Oh, we're back to that again, are we? All right. That brings us to our conclusion of TV Party tonight. I want to thank Ronnie for being my guest on tonight's show.
Absolutely.
His show, Screaming Boy Podcast, is anchoring Pirates Week here on the Rattle Legend Broadcasting Network. We've had a lot of pirate shows this week. We discussed Nightcrawler on source material. Damn You Hollywood reviewed Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. We, as aforementioned, Metal Hammer of Doom reviewed Ailstorm. Next week, we got a couple of Wonder Woman shows. We're going to do the Heketia on source material. And then Damn You Hollywood's going to review the single greatest DC cinematic universe movie ever made, Wonder Woman.
Man of Steel.
Metal Hammer of
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm never invited back.
On Metal Hammer of Doom, we're going to review the new Dream Evil 6. And then presumably if Sean is ready to go and has got himself settled, we're going to review, we're going to bring back On Trial, and we're going to look at Superman Returns. And you might be asking yourself, why Superman Returns? Because I couldn't think of anything where there was anything to review for Wonder Woman that would have gone along with it other than the series with Linda Carter, and I don't have any access to those television shows without buying them. The following week, instead of Damn You Hollywood, we got a pair of Flash episodes. We're going to look at Flashpoint on source material, and then we're going to have a Tuesday TV Party tonight. Ronnie Adams and Josh Calandros are going to join me, and we're going to talk Flash, Season 3, Flashpoint. So we're going to look at the book Flashpoint on Monday, and then Tuesday we're going to look at the series, the Season 3 Flashpoint. I am then taking the next night off. I will be at U2, but the Metal Hammer of Doom will still go on. It'll be Jesse Starcher and Robert Cooper discussing Unleash the Archers, Apex. And then another TV party, babies. Yes, another TV party tonight. Myself and Sean Comer are going to look at Orange is the New Black, Season 5. So that's what we got going on over the next 2 weeks and what we got in the archive now. I talked about your show for tomorrow. Is there anything else you want to plug real quick?
Mm-hmm. We are on an involuntary hiatus right now until I get some technical issues taken care of. But you can go back and listen to us on iTunes and, of course, on the Radio Legend Broadcasting Network archives. You can still catch us on YouTube. But we will be hosting a live episode tomorrow night right here on Blog Talk Radio on the Radio Legend Broadcasting Network. And it will be our pirate show, Why Pirates Are Cooler Than Ninjas, even though Ask a Ninja said that they're not.
Have you ever seen the Ask a Ninja review of Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yes, I did. And
it's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
He's a genius.
Yes, he is.
A genius. And I actually own the Ask a Ninja book, which is
really
brilliant. Yes, I do. When it first came out, there was an Ask a Ninja book, So I ran out to buy it. I mean, what else would a grown man do with his money? But
sure.
It was, yeah. But it is equally as hilarious. I mean, because it's also illustrated. So I was a big Ask a Ninja fan as well. You know, as much as I like ninjas and martial arts and things like that, man, pirates are so much cooler. So we're going to be talking about all kinds of different pirates in cinema and video games and things like that.
I still laugh every time I hear him say, and raise the general level of confusion by a bucket of chicken.
Yes.
All right, folks.
So,
we've had a lot of fun here. I would appreciate Ronnie coming on. I told you I'd get through this, Ronnie,
Mark.
by hook or by crook.
Absolutely.
I am a machine.
Absolutely. I had absolute faith in you. No worries, is what I was trying to say. But it came out that I had no faith in you, so I think I need to go to bed.
Let's all go to bed. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on TV Party Tonight. Be well, be safe, and behave.
Hurry into Old Navy today and tomorrow to get jeans for the whole family on sale. Just $15 for adults, $12 for kids. Plus, starting today, redeem your Super Cash to save even more at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. Super Cash valid 6/3 to 6/11. Jeans valid 6/3 to 6/4. Select styles only. Hurry into Old Navy today and tomorrow to get jeans for the whole family on sale. Just $15 for adults, $12 for kids. Plus, starting today, redeem your Super Cash to save even more at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. Super Cash valid 6/3 to 6/11. Jeans valid 6/3 to 6/4. Select styles only.